Kia ora, my name's Tim and I'm a selector and coach for the Karori Junior Hockey Club. The purpose of this video is to give you an understanding of the why and the how of our selection process for teams at the club. Clearly, selecting teams is just as much art as it is science. But we've developed a process here at the Karori Junior Hockey Club that allows us to actually make good decisions that we can actually utilise over the course of any one season. We think there's three really good reasons why making good selections is particularly important. The first is that it's really important in our view to make sure that we're selecting kids into the appropriate team for their age and stage so that they really enjoy their hockey throughout the year. Our primary aim after all is to keep them coming back into enjoying their hockey. Second of all, it's really important to have a clear and transparent process so that other coaches or parents can come along and ask questions and challenge the process, and we can respond to those with a degree of confidence. The third reason is that the way we do things here allows us to capture data on a player's particular sets of skills, whether it's relating to the core skills of hockey or their game, and then we can see the way in which those skills and those scores progress throughout the year. So it's a really good tool for tracking progression. So our process of selections and decision making is primarily set up to try and make the best possible judgments. Often this is actually about managing the possibilities for or the potential for bias, whether that's the potential bias from the process or the potential bias from the individual selectors. So how does it work? The way in which we run trials involves two components: testing skills and then a game assessment. Over the course of 1 to 2 weekends, this means that all players will be assessed against a minimum of 13 different data points, usually collected by at least 3 selectors. So how do we give effect to this process? The first way we do this is by ensuring that all selectors actually act as individuals. This is really easy to manage when we're doing the skill assessments because individual selectors are allocated a single skill station to run. When we get to the game assessments, we then ask all selectors to actually literally stand by themselves and just make assessments against the criteria for the 6 to 7 players that they've been given. This is really helpful. The second thing that we do is we use small groups. As I've mentioned, when it comes to the game assessments, individual selectors are only looking at 6 to 7 players, and even if your player is not actually directly on the ball, we're able to make assessments of the way in which they are calling, holding positional play, and leading. All really important skills in hockey. So this process then allows us to collate lots of data over the course of both the skill assessment and the game assessment. The next piece of the puzzle is that we ensure that our skill assessment stations are actually relatively simple. They're actually quite static and they're testing the basic hockey skills such as pushing, hitting, trapping, dribbling, jinking and the like. They're not dynamic as in the way in which a regular hockey game would be played out, but the purpose of keeping them nice and simple is it reduces the number of variables and it increases our confidence in the ability of the selectors to make sound judgments about individual skills. Then we ensure that all of these skill assessments are done uniformly across all skill assessments. We only use whole numbers when selecting scores, so 1 being the lowest score and 5 being the best. We ensure that no individual selector is making their own little personal alterations to the system, and this again ensures consistency across the process. Similarly, one of the things we also seek to ensure is that there are criteria attached to each of the skill assessments that we're utilising. This means that it's entirely possible that when looking at a set of skills for a particular group, a selector may give everyone a 5 depending upon their actual skills demonstrated in front of them. There is no normal distribution, it is purely based around what the selectors are seeing in front of them. The last thing I think it's also important to note is that we tend to ensure wherever possible that selectors are not selecting their own children into a team. Where we do have situations where a selector might be engaged in a selection team that includes their own children, we specifically ensure that they're not required to make a skill assessment or a game assessment of their own child.
Hi, my name's Louise, and on behalf of the committee we thank the selection team for selecting our teams this year. Once the skills assessment and the games assessments have been completed, the selection panels all sit down and review all the data and information and the verbatim comments that have been collected during the 2 trials. At this point, the selectors analyse and think about the information, discuss it, and come to consensus decisions around the selection of the teams for the year ahead. Next, the committee are appointed to ratify those decisions. In ratifying the teams, the committee seeks to check that the process that's been agreed has been followed by the selection panels, and we also individually check each of the players' data. And that is the end of the process. After this, teams are announced on our websites and we begin the process of getting the information out to coaches and team managers for the year ahead. Thanks so much for selecting for us this year.